So 3 exercises to work that glute med on the reformer at an intermediate level. We're going to be using a couple of non-slip mats, not non-stick, because then we'd be in trouble. Let's put that into the crease here. I've got my platform extender on and 1 heavy spring or 1 red spring. We're going to make sure that this is all the way up against that platform for safety. So 2 of those down here. 1 knee onto the platform extender, and then the other leg we're going to have into the edge here. So you can sort of see that the middle of my foot is right into the carriage. This leg is going to be doing the majority of the work. So it looks like I'm doing knee extension, but truly there's a lot of pressure coming back from the springs trying to push me over this way. So it's more of an isometric glute med exercise on this side, and then we get some nice quads on the other side. Trying to maintain neutral pelvis can be really hard here, I find. There's a temptation to kind of flip into flexion, use a little bit of piriformis maybe, get out of those glutes. But give that a try and see what works for your clients. You may have to reduce the spring load. It can be a lot. If you have someone that's ready to stand up on the reformer, we're going to go into a little bit of a 45-degree angle. So coming up here, I've got my 2 feet facing here this way. We're going to bring the back leg just backwards a little bit, so I sort of have a bit of a staggered step, and we're going to press back into almost like a skater. So being mindful of the knee control from this hip on this side, we're going to activate the glute med here. If we need to get a little bit more glute med, we can turn this leg out, depending on what your client's needs are, again. So trying to get some really nice deep lunging to activate both this glute med and this glute med at the same time. If you're really mean, you can add a little bit of a swivel or rotational disc under this foot, but I caution you to be very careful getting in and out of that. I would probably add the jump board to hold on to place the rotational disc under their foot if that's something that you're after. So making sure you do both sides for balance. I do find this one is something that I use quite often because I can slip it into like the rest of the regular side splits exercises. Lastly, for glute med, I'm going to show you clamshells on the short box. It's what I call, very sort of near and dear to my heart, one that I call the clamshells from hell. So we're not expecting more than like 3 to 5 reps with this one. Let's go to 1 medium spring. We can get rid of this. We're going to take that box, we're going to place it over the shoulder rests like that, making sure it's right up against it for safety. There's no risk of it falling over that way. If you want to use one of your non-slip pads, or sheets, you can also use that as well, just to help your clients feel safe. A little warning, I do find this exercise is a little bit challenging for really tall individuals, so anybody over like 5'10", 5'11", you may want to reconsider this one because it doesn't really have a lot of opportunity to support the whole trunk on the box just because of the limitation in the size here. But I'm 5'5", and you can sort of see the way my body lies on the box. I'm going to come around here. We're going to do my right hip. So I'm going to be facing the back end of the reformer. I'm going to have the strap in my hand and ready. You can absolutely help your client get into position first and then slip the strap on. I do recommend that because it can be tricky doing it by yourself, especially if you're doing this to test it out for the first time without support. So we're going to be careful not to lean on the edge as usual, right? I'm going to put pressure through the middle of the box first, just for safety. And then I'm going to come onto my side here. So making sure that my spine is nice and neutral. I'm not flexed through the spine at all. I'm really looking for that L shape. This strap is going to be threaded over my leg here and then up to just above the knee. And then I'm going to have my bottom hand supporting my neck. So keeping that spine nice and neutral. We're gonna keep the hip sockets nice and stacked, rotating up, and then closing in. So I've got one medium spring. It's pretty light. I'm trying to make sure that my pelvis isn't falling back or rotating back. So keeping that sacrum still in space. And then really targeting that glute med. So I think one medium spring is probably decent for someone that's just starting out. But if you've got someone that's been doing this for a while, or they need a little bit more weight, you can definitely bump up to one medium and one light, or one heavy spring if you've got somebody that has like glute meds of steel or buns of steel. So proceed with caution with that one just because of the positioning. It can get a little bit necky, but I do find it's really well suited to target that muscle.